So I had one of those awkward situations recently when a client asked me what I thought about something called design thinking. It caught me utterly off guard as it was a technique that I hadn't heard of before, and after the call I felt kind of stupid. But in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have. Supposedly it was Albert Einstein who said, the more you learn, the more you realise what you don't know. And the longer I've worked in UX and digital, the more I tend to agree with him. I actually cringe when I look back to the beginning of my career. I thought I had all of the answers and I got frustrated when other people couldn't see that. And if they mentioned some technique or some piece of software or some approach that I wasn't aware of, I'd either bullshit my way through it or dismiss it as inappropriate. Now, as I aged and became more experienced, I did begin to realise that maybe I didn't have all the answers. But that I was still confident that I had a process that would get me to the right solution. All I needed to do was run a design sprint or, create a design system and everything would be okay. I had my ways of working that I believed worked. These days, on the other hand, I'm not even sure that's right. I get approached by people all the time that have read about a particular technique, whether it be something like, customer journey mapping or top task analysis, and they want my help to implement it. In fact, as I've already mentioned, it's not unusual for them to raise a technique that in actual fact I've never heard of, despite working in the field for over 25 years. And that's the thing. These latest trendy UX techniques that come along, they come and go like any other fashion. And although they've got real value and actually are very helpful, they're often used as a square peg in a round hole. In other words, they're not always used in the right way at the right time. It's so common to see people use these techniques not because they're the best tool for solving a particular problem, but because they've read somewhere that some company or some person they admire uses it. And as a result, they're more focused on the actual technique than they are on the outcome they want to achieve. There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to solving UX challenges, and what works for somebody like, Google or Amazon will almost certainly not work for you. It's a very different environment. Furthermore, working in UX is messier than some neat implementation of a series of industry standard techniques. You can't approach every UX project the same. It's so messy that even after I've been briefed on the objective for a particular project, it's still not always evident what direction that I should go in and what approach would be most appropriate to deploy. And that's why I hate it when I have to write proposals. I find it the hardest thing in the world because clients expect me to lay out exactly what I'm going to do in the order in which I'm going to do it to get the desired outcome. And understandably, they want a fixed price for all of this. But in truth, I often don't know how I'm going to achieve an objective before I start. And that's because there are hundreds of different nuances that may make my approach impossible when I actually get to do the project. For example, maybe I want to do a user survey, but there are compliance restrictions in the particular sector that would prevent me from doing that. Or perhaps in the proposal I suggest running a workshop, but then a global pandemic prevents people from coming together. There's 101 different factors at play, from technology stacks to stakeholder availability. Far too many to factor in before you even begin. Then there's the fact that you might get some surprising result from some research or testing that you carry out as part of the project, which means that whatever you have planned next becomes meaningless. Running a UX project is not like, driving a car to a destination. You can't simply enter your objective into the sat-nav and see the route appear on screen and just follow it. It doesn't work like that. Instead, it's more like surfing. You know your destination where you want to get to, but the waves are constantly on the move, and that means that you need to move with those waves and with those currents, adapting on the fly to ensure that you end up in the right place. In short, our work is messy, iterative and collaborative, so we need to learn as we're doing and get comfortable with the fact that it's a messy subject matter that we're involved in.